I'll find out how. No. How are you? I can't see them. I recognize the way. Yeah. Yeah, and then it's like the more. Yeah, I mean, oh my God. So I'm a thing. I'm just waiting for this. Okay, but. Yeah. Yeah, I'll probably. I know.
It's 6:03, we're just waiting for a few more board members to join us, and then we will begin. Right, good evening, everyone. This is Manhattan Community Board 5. We will begin tonight with our public hearing chaired by Craig Sluskin.
Good evening. My name is Craig Sluskin, and I will be the chair for the public hearing. During the public hearing, members of the public are invited to speak for 2 minutes per person on the subject set forth in the agenda for this public hearing or in any topic that relates to the affairs of the community district. If you'd like to address the board before it votes on any matters tonight, now is your opportunity to do so. Although there will be a public session during the full board meeting later, that public session will be at the end of the meeting after all of the votes have taken place. So if you want to address the board on any matters before it votes tonight, now is your time to do so. If you'd like to speak during the public meeting and you're on the Zoom, please use the raise hand button now. When you are recognized, we'll allow you to speak, but you must unmute yourself. In order for you to be heard, you will have to unmute yourself. So we will begin the public hearing with our first person, and give me 1 second, Evelyn Collado. You should be able to speak.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
From the Office of the New York City Comptroller. I just wanted to have the opportunity to address the board before I head to another community board hearing in around 20 minutes. I just wanted to extend an invitation to this board for our Black History Month event that will be on February 26th from 6 to 8:30 and is titled The Cost of Discrimination. It will be at the Schomburg Center. Again, February 26th, 6 to 8:30. I have also sent a copy of our newsletter to the board to share with the members. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Lisa Wager. Lisa, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hello, I'm Lisa Wager, Director of Government Community Relations at the Fashion Institute of Technology, the SUNY on West 27th Street in the district. I'm here to share a few updates. FIT is pretty well known for our industry partnerships that support and sometimes directly launch student careers, and here's a pretty cool one. The Real Real, an online luxury consignment resale site, partnered with FIT to offer fashion design students the opportunity to design, create, and sell a luxury, sustainable, upcycled coat from unsold items in the Real Real's inventory. The challenge was to promote sustainable practices in fashion and give new life to luxury clothing. 8 students participated. The top 3 won prizes ranging from $1,000 to $3,000, and all designer coats were put up for sale on the Real Real site. They were put up on January 23rd. By January 29th, all of them had sold. The student designers each received a commission from the sale. These kids are undergrads, public higher ed, delivering the dream. And here's a double FIT moment. You may have seen the New York Times piece online or in Sunday's paper on FIT alum celebrated street photographer Arlene Gottfried, Photography 72, and the efforts to preserve her archive. Her sister-in-law, who owns the archive, has recently turned to FIT grad Photography 23, Erin Duchesne, to begin the enormous task of organizing and digiting Arlene's collection, ensuring her legacy and FIT's role in this marvelous body of work. And there's a wonderful new exhibition opening in the Art and Design Gallery. That's the glass box at the corner of 27th and 7th, The Colorful Influence of Susan Dakin. It's just getting installed today, and it looks really lovely and beautiful and lively. It's got painting, sculpture, furniture, wall hangings, a whole bunch of textiles and sculpture. It celebrates the artwork and teaching of fine arts professor Susan Dakin, who's taught at FIT for 52 years. The exhibition includes a survey of work by Dakin and 9 of her former students, some of whom are quite prominent, plus objects and sculptures she acquired from artisans she met over the years and throughout her travels. It will be up through Sunday, March 3rd. Stroll by, take a look. It's going to be 50 degrees tomorrow. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Mario Messina, and we have one person after who's Robin Forst. Robin, you can stay on, but it might be more appropriate for you to speak during the reports of the representatives and the elected officials, so I'll let you choose. But Mario, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Well, thank you. I just wanted to comment on 2 things. I think that the cat is out of the bag, and we have heard that Vicky is leaving as a chair of Community Board 5, and I just wanted to say a few words in that regard. First of all, I have been privileged to work for over 10 years with Vicky, and I have to say that I admire how she shepherded the great environment and a great group of people of Community Board 5 throughout the years, and influenced a fair and honest mode to ensure the preservation of the quality of life of our district. There are not enough words to express how much we appreciate all the work that she has done, and we can only use one little word, a little thank you, that however comes from the bottom of the heart of close to 1,000 people that are part of our association as well as mine. You will be missed, and we thank you, and of course, all the best to you. If I have another 2 seconds, I'd like to welcome Nick and congratulate you for being the new chair of Community Board 5. I had, again, the luck and privilege of working with you throughout the years, and I much appreciate and admire the great work that you have done as a chair of some very important committees, which are very important in preserving the quality of life of our area. You have also been very instrumental in fostering the creation of some plans that they are guides so important to preserve our sanity in this crazy world. I can only say that I'm looking forward to see what you're doing and how you And I'm looking forward to be of help if there is a necessity. All the best on your new endeavor.
Thank you, Mario. Is there anybody else on this Zoom that wishes to speak in the public hearing right now? If you do, please use the raise hand function. We do have one person, who is here today who would like to speak, Raphael Schweitzer. Hi, you can go to the podium over there. 2 minutes.
You need the mic, right? Or it'll get me. Can you hear me? Yep, great. My name is Raphael Schweitzer. I'm a lifelong New York City resident, and I'm going around to all the community boards for July because I'm doing a 5-borough comic book store tour. Now, who here went to a comic book store when you were young? Raise your hand. A couple people. So to me, comic book stores are very special because they're like a library, like a cool library. And they have not only comic books, but things that preserve our history, preserve culture. They're a place for teens and young people. And it's a place to hang out. They sell much more than comics. And of course, it is endangered, as all brick and mortar stores are. So I've accomplished a list of all comic book stores in New York City. I'm gonna give them out to everyone. And in May, June, or July, whatever the weather gets warmer, because it's very unpredictable here, it's not us. Very good. Of course. Very good.
Hello. So there's at least 30 comic book stores in New York City, about 6 in Manhattan. The most are in Brooklyn. The oldest is from 1978 on McDonald Avenue in Brooklyn. And starting in warm weather, we're going to gather as a group. We're going to start off at a centralized location like Union Square, and we're going to go to about 3 or 4 of the stores. Not all of them one day. That would be pure ludicrous. But if you could let me know a place where I can put this flyer, or I can pass it down. But this is about supporting the endangered small brick and mortar stores, and small businesses aren't. It's not just a business. Like when you go somewhere, the first thing you see are those awnings, and they're community members, and they preserve the culture and vitality of a neighborhood. So yeah, I'm gonna give these out. On the bottom is my contact information, and you will be notified on the first event. But this is my 4th community board out of 59. Well, let's hope I won't that long. It was my 3rd this week, so pretty good week until July, and then we'll get there. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, sir. We also on the Zoom, we have Mark Williams. Mark, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, my name is Mark. I speak to you today with a crucial message about an organization that has infiltrated your community board under the guise of advocating for affordable housing. Open New York is a group that claims to champion the cause of housing. They have strategically placed several of their members on CB5 to further their interests of high-end property developers. Please understand, these individuals from Open New York are not here as volunteers like the rest of you who are genuinely caring about our community. They are well-trained developer advocates, strategically positioned to push a pro-developer agenda while pretending to advocate for housing. You must not allow yourselves to be fooled by the charade of being pro-housing put forth by those Open New York representatives. Their intentional placement on your board is not to support affordable housing, but rather to promote an agenda that would exacerbate our housing crisis, benefiting only the luxury developers. The evidence is clear in their outlandish positions, promoting housing above all else, disregarding the impacts on affordability, infrastructure, transportation, schools, and quality of life. Please stand together to protect our community's best interests. Do not let luxury developer lobbyists mislead you. Thank you for your time.
Right. Can we ask if this gentleman is with a particular
No,
organization?
you're not.
Okay, thank you.
No, that would not be a problem. Are there any other, sorry, so that would just, it would be an appropriate to ask.
I didn't know.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
Are there any other members on anybody else on the Zoom that wishes to speak? In the public hearing? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed, and I'll bring it back to Chair Adler.
Thank you, Craig. Good evening, everyone. This is the full board meeting of Manhattan Community Board 5. I'm Gaffney, I'll be your chair. We'll start the full board meeting by hearing from any elected officials that are in attendance and
Someone just raised their hand.
you closed.
There's someone with, Councilmember Power's office.
Okay, so it's okay.
We'll start a full board meeting by hearing from any elected officials that are in attendance and wish to address the board. The elected officials will be followed by any representatives of other electeds who may report to the board for 2 minutes each. The board then enters into its business session, which tonight consists of the chair report, committee reports, resolutions, a question and comment period, and voting. Comments or questions from either applicants or the public, or if additional information is needed, is allowed only with the chair's approval. We will then conduct a public session, which is not a question and answer session. It's for members of the public who would like to apprise the board of any item that they did not speak to the board about during the public hearing. During the public session, we also don't revisit items that have been discussed during the business session. Once the voting takes place, all discussion on agenda items is closed, and we cannot allow you to make further comments. The public session is followed by any other business and adjournment. I will start this evening's meeting calling on elected officials to raise their hand now if they would like to speak. Are any elected officials among us? Okay, I think we're waiting for Tony Simone, but if he's not here yet, we can come back to him.
Hi, yeah, Tony can't make it, but I'll be reading for him.
Okay, great. So if there are no elected officials, we'll now hear from representatives of electeds who may speak for 2 minutes each. Please use the raise hand button now. And we'll start with Jessie Kay.
Hello, my name is Jessie. I'm covering for my colleague Franklin in Councilmember Keith Powers' office tonight. Just have a few updates here. The City Council session began last month. Over the next few stated meetings, the council will be reintroducing bills from the last session. Some of these bills include Councilmember Powers' bill on sidewalk sheds and scaffolding, nuisance abatement bill to tackle illegal cannabis shops, and public banking resolution, which was introduced at today's stated meeting. Additionally, it's time for you to renew your property tax exemptions, including the senior citizen homeowners exemption, also known as SHE, the disabled homeowners exemption, and the clergy exemption. The deadline for homeowners to submit renewal applications is March 15th, 2024, so that's coming up pretty soon. Property owners who must renew their benefits have received letters in the mail. If your constituents do not renew, they can lose their benefits and their property taxes could increase. And lastly, 3K and pre-K applications are now open for fall 2024 and are due on March 1st. You can apply in one of 3 ways: online with myschools.nyc, over the phone at 718-935-2009, Monday through Friday between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m., or contact a family welcome center. If you have questions about the process or need help applying, please contact our office. Our phone number is online, but I'll give it to you now. It's 212-818-0580. And that's all we have.
Thank you. Next up, Lori H.
Hi, good evening, CB5. Lori from Eric Botcher's office. Today, the council member introduced legislation that would require the city to install water bottle refilling stations on fire hydrants, beginning with 5 in each borough. It would provide easy access to water bottle refilling at fire hydrants. That would help take a big bite out of the plastic waste problem. On January 19th, Councilmember Botcher unveiled a new multilingual public awareness campaign that you might have seen around town. It's called Slow Your Roll, Respect the Stroll. It urges cyclists to be mindful of pedestrian safety by yielding to pedestrians and avoiding biking on sidewalks and stopping at red lights and basically following the rules. The campaign is now appearing in the Link NYC kiosk through Council District 3. Our office is continuing to help enroll residents in the New York City Department of Finance's rent freeze and homeowner tax exemption programs, including SCREE and DREE. Staff from the Mayor's Public Engagement Unit will be in our district office the second Thursday of every month from 10:30 to 5 to help our constituents. We're at 224 West 30th Street, Suite 1206. Just give our office a call and we can help schedule an appointment. And last, since taking office, Erica's been hosting a regular series of Zoom conversations about issues of importance in our community. Next Thursday, February 15th, from 5 to 6, our office will host an online conversation with Attorney General Tish James. I will share the flyer with Marissa, and I'll also put the link to register in the chat. Thank you. That's all for me.
Thank you, Lori. Next up will be Tricia.
Hey folks, Tricia Shimamura here from the Borough President's Office. Happy Black History Month, Happy Lunar New Year, and all other good things with that comes with 50-degree weather outside. Look, I'm not your regular liaison that normally comes to you tonight, and even though Braha is on the call, but really I came here because we had heard with very sad hearts about Vicky stepping down as chair, and I just felt like, I feel like frankly I should expect the mayor here any moment to also pay his respects. Vicky has been around as chair for as long as I've been working in government. I remember close to 15 years ago when there was a council member Grodnick, when something called East Midtown rezoning was going on, and I remember working for a Congresswoman Maloney and hearing my office fight over who got to go to CB5 meetings because she ran that good of a meeting. It was that much of a pleasure to work with her. And I frankly just, everything I know about community boards has started with this board and the job that Vicky and the example that Vicky gave. So this is personal when I say that, that there really are no words to talk about the impact that she's had, not just in this neighborhood, but on the entire borough, and dare I say the entire city. I'm sure that we will be talking about this for a long time, but I just couldn't let an opportunity come by without just saying thank you to Vicky, and thank you for everything that you've taught me and everything that you've taught this board. The leadership that Nick has, Craig, Layla, everybody, I know you've taken so much from Vicky, and I just wanted to say thank you personally. Go apply to your community board again. Go read our reports on sheds, all that good stuff. You know it. Braha will share it with you. I just wanted to say good night and thank you again.
Thank you, Tricia. Next up, Alex.
Everybody, sorry, give me one moment. My computer's a bit slow. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Well, good evening, everybody. Just an update from Senator Krueger's office. The legislative session, as we all know, began last month, and the state government is moving full swing through the budget season with Senator Krueger chairing the finance hearings. Last month, the Senate passed a suite of 10 bills related to protecting voting rights and 12 bills to protect reproductive rights and improve maternal health care. And they hope that these bills will also be passed in the Assembly and signed by the governor. One of Senator Krueger's bills, S-158B, passed the Senate and was delivered to the Assembly at the end of January. This bill would govern companies that collect and sell healthcare information and provides additional rights and protections to users related to the sale of that private health information. We also recently introduced legislation, S-7860, which will work in coordination with a bill introduced by Senator Hoylman Siegel, S-7703, that would address the issue of unlicensed mopeds on our streets. And I don't have too much time, but you can always look up the bills on your own if you're interested in hearing more. Our office will be holding a virtual town hall on the impact of casinos in urban communities on Thursday, February 22nd at 6:30 p.m. You can register at a link I'm going to put in the chat that I've also sent to Marisa and Josh. You will have the option of joining the event through Zoom, Facebook Live, and please note that you do not need a Facebook account or profile to view a Facebook Live event. And you can also call in to access the audio only portion of the event. It's going to feature a question and answer session with 3 experts on the subject of casinos. If you have any questions about the casino siting process, you can submit questions during the event, but we also strongly encourage you to submit them in advance once you register for the event through the link that I'm going to include in the chat. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Alex. Let's hear from Ben.
Hello, so I'm sure you're all familiar with Mount Sinai's plan to close their Beth Israel downtown location. Assemblymember Simone finds this wholly unacceptable. Beth Israel provides essential services to the community, and closing it would result in unconscionable wait times that would threaten the lives and health of patients. Assemblymember Simone is working closely with his colleagues downtown on this issue. We recently had the Department of Health issue a cease and desist to Beth Israel, requesting that they stop any reduction in services. And we're closely monitoring the situation because we have concerns that they're still going ahead with service reductions. Assemblymember Simone recently introduced A8920, which provides protections against rent increases for tenants with disabilities when those increases come from individual apartment improvements made to accommodate their needs. It's terrible that people with disabilities would have to pay more just because they make changes to their apartment to accommodate their disability, and this bill would put a stop to that. He also recently introduced A9031, which will increase fines for parking violations when there are a significant number of repeat violations within a 2-year period. When a parking ticket is viewed as the cost of doing business, drivers are more likely to regularly violate parking rules, leading to dangerous situations for drivers, cyclists, and pedestrians. This bill would increase that cost to a level that is actually significant for these repeat violators. And there are many people in need of winter clothing this season, so we partnered with Rauschenbusch Metro Ministries for a winter clothing drive. If you have new or gently used winter clothing to donate, please drop it off at 410 West 40th between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. from Monday to Thursday, or 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Friday, or 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Sundays. And we also have an upcoming tax prep event, so please keep your ears open for more information on that. Thanks.
Thank you, Ben. Next up will be Robin.
Hi, everyone. First of all, congratulations to you, Nick. I'm sure you'll be a wonderful chair. And I wanted to say a farewell to Vicky and thank her for her hard work over many, many years. So a changing of the guard, and I look forward to working with the new team. I have a couple of quick announcements. You've probably heard that the new Dining Out New York City program was announced last week. It will be the largest outdoor dining program in the country, and applications will be available in March. And the hope is that restaurants that apply early will be able to operate by this summer. The Dining Out program was a huge boon to the economy during the pandemic. I think it saved over 100,000 jobs, and we're looking forward to a continuation of vibrant street life in the city. The other thing I wanted to mention is that New York City, along with New Jersey, is going to be hosting the 26th FIFA World Cup, and that will take place in 2026. It feels a long way off, but there will be many games and hopefully a lot of benefit to both the city and to New Jersey. So we're kind of excited about that. And with that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Robin. Next up will be Eric.
Hi, everyone. Eric Strauzer from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Just had a few announcements I wanted to put on everyone's radar. We recently announced and opened applications for quite a few different programs for younger New Yorkers. I know everyone's heard me talk about our high school summer internship program. Those applications are officially open. We'll be holding a virtual information session on Thursday, February 15th from 6 p.m. to 6:45. We also announced the opening of our applications for our Gun Violence Prevention Fellowship. That's a 3-month fellowship for young New Yorkers from the ages of 18 to 25 with a high school diploma or equivalent degree who are either directly or indirectly affected by gun violence. And it's to work with our staff on gun violence prevention strategies. And at the end of the fellowship, it's really exciting. They'll be able to present a policy or legislative solution directly to the district attorney and our executive team. So the due date for those applications are March 4th. And then we also opened our applications for a youth ambassador program. This targets 16 to 19-year-olds. And it's an opportunity to learn about the criminal justice system, voice ideas about improving public safety in their community, and become part of our network of youth volunteers. So I have virtual and physical flyers for all of those programs. So please let me know if anyone wants to help us get the word out. And I know last month I spoke about our Safeguard Your Phone palm cards. Particularly, we're seeing an uptick in people trying to get a hold of other people's phones in person to use their financial apps to steal large sums of money for them. We recently submitted letters to payment platforms like Venmo, PayPal, Zelle, and Cash App, asking them to increase their security measures. By default, right now, users have to go in and manually increase them. And we've also recently announced the indictment of a ring of individuals charged for stealing credit cards and iPhones at nightclubs and purchasing products from things retailers like Apple, other luxury vendors for a total of around $450,000. That's all I have. Happy to answer questions offline, but thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Eric. We'll now invite Assemblymember Epstein to the podium.
Walk around. Sorry.
Good evening, everyone. Good morning.
How's everyone doing this evening? It doesn't sound so good. Everyone doing okay?
Yes.
It's great. It's like a Thursday night in the city. It's not too cold, you know? How are you? I'm tired. I just got back from Albany. We've had hearings all week till hearing was till 10 o'clock last night, but I'm doing okay, you know? It's a busy time. As people know, the state budget, the governor came out with the state budget proposal a couple of weeks ago. There's some positive things in New York City. There's some negative stuff that we have to grapple with. So I know this community board cares so much about a lot of things that we care about. One thing that was slightly positive was around closing down all the illegal cannabis stores in the neighborhood. People saw that she's proposed some changes to allow easier closure of the illegal places. You know, I asked the mayor who was up on Tuesday whether that will give him the authority to padlock all the illegal stores, and he said no. And I said, well, then shouldn't you have the authority to padlock all the illegal stores? And what do you need? What authority do you need? And he said, I'll get back to me. So at that point, I was like, well, that's not as helpful as I wanted it to be. But that's something I know we've been talking a lot for the last year, really, about. The other thing that the governor talked about was aid to our public school. There's been some of the formula came out, it might be a cut for public education. We're trying to avoid that from happening. Some proposed cuts that'll impact our CUNYs, and obviously we want to ensure that access to our CUNYs and our SUNYs, so that was really concerning. We're working on some legislative platforms for the upcoming year, and some of these issues about we're meeting, you know, Alex got a remote meeting for community boards. I have a remote meeting for CECs and SLTs for schools, and we're trying to come up with a package that'll do that. So if people are interested in any of this Albany related legislative stuff and changes, you know, please reach out to me. Kathleen from my office is, you know, always attends, and you can ask her. If there are capital needs in the neighborhood that we should know, that we work with a lot of nonprofits who have capital needs, and you know, to ensure that, you know, they need improvements. We just did a bathroom and HVAC upgrade for National Arts, and we just gave another money to upgrade a daycare center over at Bellevue. But if there are other needs we just gave $250,000 for Madison Park for new fencing. So if there are other capital needs of, you know, obviously our city council colleagues have capital money, but we do as well. And the last thing let's talk about, we have a bunch of upcoming events. So if people tonight. I know it's a little late. There's a congestion pricing forum, which I'm going to in a little while. Talk about the impact of congestion pricing, the MTA is presenting. We also have another event going on right now, which is a Community Board 6 doing a forum on the potential closing of Beth Israel Hospital. You know, we got a cease and desist order from the State Department of Health. Seems like Beth Israel is not complying, or Mount Sinai is not complying, and so we're really trying to put more pressure on them to try to figure out what the plan is. We lose that hospital below 23rd Street, we'll have no real access to emergency departments, so at least to have a standalone emergency department. They have to close the building to have some other options. Next week, we're doing our Black History Month event, honoring some 4 community leaders on the 15th, and we have our newsletter. I think Kathleen, you said you put it in the chat.
I put it in the chat, but anyone wants to read it.
Yeah, the 15th, we're doing that. We're doing like a pet adoption event. People need to adopt pets with the ACC on the weekend of the 18th. And then we're also doing our Women's History Month event on March 10th. We're also, we have a free mammogram truck for women between the ages of 40 and 79. I didn't choose the age spread, by the way, but it's only for women between 40 and 79. They get access to free mammograms. So those are a few of the events we're doing over the next couple of weeks. And we're happy to have folks come, and if there's a question, if you guys want me to be able to answer, if not, I'm happy to not answer that.
Those?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Assembly Member. I actually have more of a comment than a question. I want to thank you for your leadership on the Beth Israel issue, closing this hospital. That's brilliant. And I want to make sure that you and your colleagues are aware of the proposed rezonings that the city is contemplating for some other housing projects, including the rezoning of Midtown South that will create a large number of with residential units. The redevelopment of the NYCHA campuses that are not in CB5, but you know, in our sister board CB4.
Right.
That would also see the creation of 5,000 additional dwelling units.
And a lot of market.
Where are these people gonna go to the hospital? Where are these families gonna go when the kid needs care? Where are these young mothers going to give birth? This is a crisis, and once again, I really want to thank you for all the work that you've been doing and all the leadership that you've been taking. And, you know, in this element of, you know, increased housing and increased residential density in our midtown areas can also be brought to the State Department of Health. And if that can have any meaningful impact on, you know, any of the environmental review that may or may not be needed for the closing of hospital, you know, I just wanted to emphasize that.
Well, I know it's just a statement, but I will, if you don't mind, respond, because I think we've really organized well in Lower Manhattan. We've organized all our community board, all our state and local elected officials, all 3 council members have been well represented, all 4 assembly members, all senators from the east side, the west side, from Brad to Liz to Brian to Kristen, we're all in unison saying the same thing. We met with the governor's office on Friday to talk about our deep concern. We've now had the State Department of Health on site for the last 7 days, talking about problems at the site. And then we're having Bellevue, and why don't you talk about the impact that the closing is going to have on Bellevue? Bellevue's already told me it's going to cost them an extra $150 million to absorb the cost if we allow Mount Sinai to close. So Mount Sinai says they're losing $150 million a year, which might be a right number. I'm not sure the Mount Sinai system is losing it, but maybe that campus is. But that means we as the taxpayers are gonna have to come up with another $150 million to pay for Bellevue. So this is a lose-lose for our community. One less emergency room, less access, and, you know, huge additional cost. So I really want to applaud you, Leila, and everyone else who's been actively involved in this effort, because only if we stay unified with, again, the Department of Health and, you know, and the governor's office to have them put the pressure on, that they're gonna listen. And now a coalition has filed a lawsuit against the closing too, so every piece of pressure is going to get up. Now, I'll mention one last thing, if people give me the moment, is casinos is a big issue in Manhattan, so I don't want people to really pay attention to that. There's lots of casinos being proposed. We all will have some voice in this once the state kind of releases a final report. there's gonna be all these little committees set up around Manhattan, the one in my district, a bunch in Tony's district. Is this, you know, I think we have 5 in Manhattan alone, so we really collectively need to say, is this what we want in our community? Then like, how is it gonna help or not help our neighborhoods? And, you know, we will all, I have a representative, I will appoint someone on this board for the Solo One site. Tony will have 5 opportunities to appoint for the 2 that's in this district. Liz will have, you know, we will all have those seats. So I think if you care about this, whether you're in favor or against, most of my people in our community has expressed real concern and if not outright opposition to it. But if they're, you know, we want to have a robust conversation and try to do what's best for all folks who live in Lower.
Charles.
Yeah.
You mentioned about some cuts earlier. I was just wondering, are you aware of, I heard in an email from a disability advocacy
Right.
agency that there's going to be potentially $8 million worth of cuts to home care and long-term home care. Have you heard anything about that?
So it's interesting, so this fight for home care has been a really complicated one, not because, I think we initially had done the right thing, we invested a couple $2 billion last year in home care aid. And we increased what's called the COLA, cost of living increase by 5.4%. What happened though was that money didn't get down to the workers. So this crisis in home care has gotten worse and it's been exacerbated. And so the governor has not proposed the kind of COLA increase, but we also need to make sure that we have what's called a maintenance of effort and make sure that the money actually we're trying to increase people's salaries because you can make more money today in McDonald's than you can be as a home healthcare worker. If we continue down there, we have 80,000 worker shortage in New York State alone. If we continue down that path, we are not going to have the services available. And then the cuts will follow. Like right now, there are proposed cuts to TAP, which is the tuition assistance, because they said there's a reduction in people applying for TAP. The reality is the rules around TAP have become so restrictive and the aging thresholds have become so terrible that people just can't apply for TAP. So it's going to be the same way in home care, where they're going to say, well, there's not less need because people aren't using the services. The problem is they can't find the worker to do the work. So then they do this war of attrition, like cutting back money because they say it's not being used. So our job is to fight back to make sure the money goes to the workers, and then we can continue to try to strengthen the program, which we've seen serious cuts in. Well, that answers your question in a roundabout way. Yeah. Very too much detail. All right, thank you all. Have a good rest of the meeting.
Thank you so much. Sure, thank you. Okay, we'll resume our 2-minute timer with the panel.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah Wienerman from Congressman Jerry Nather's office. I just have 2 quick items. So Congressman Nather applauded Port Authority's design proposal released last week that would totally reimagine the Port Authority bus terminal and build a bus facility that removes all commuter and intercity buses from Hell's Kitchen streets. Not only will traffic and air quality improve, but the neighborhood will replace the eyesore of an outdated and deteriorating bus terminal with a modern, efficient transportation hub that meets the needs of both commuters and residents while contributing to the continued growth and success of New York City. We hope we look forward to continuing collaborating with local elected officials and the community boards on this ambitious project. I know we're just at the beginning of it, so we're really excited to keep having conversations, especially to hear from the community about this project moving forward. The other thing I wanted to mention is that tax season is just around the corner, and our office just sent out tax resources newsletter with information about free tax preparation programs, including the IRS Direct File pilot program. So this is a brand new program that is being rolled out in certain states, including New York. So if you're eligible, you can electronically file your 2023 federal tax return for free directly with the IRS. They don't do state, but they'll give you some resources for state filing preparation. But for more information about this and the other tax resources available to you, VITA, etc., visit our website at nather.house.gov or call our office. We'd be more than happy to help. Thank you and have a great meeting.
Thank you, Hannah. Next will be Peyton.
Hi, everyone. So last month, Senator Gonzalez held a town hall on the proposed casino in Midtown East. I did unfortunately overlap with last month's Manhattan CB5 full board meeting. So I wanted to let everyone know that we did record this town hall, and if anyone is interested in watching it, we do have a link to that recording available, and just let us know. We'll be happy to share that. As you're all aware, and as has been mentioned by several people previously so far in this meeting, Mount Sinai Beth Israel in Senator Gonzalez's district has announced its plans to close later this year. Fighting this closure is a top priority for Senator Gonzalez. Senator and her office are regularly meeting with city, state, federal elected officials to coordinate on this. We've had meetings with the governor's office, and we're working to try and get more information on the enforcement of the Department of Health's cease and desist order to MSBI to try and prevent them from shutting down services without approval. As part of her efforts around this, on January 29th, the Senator was part of a press conference about the release of a community health equity report in Lower Manhattan. Finally, I just wanted to quickly announce an upcoming event our office is having. The Senator's office will be holding mobile office hours at the Kips Bay Library on February 13th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Constituents are welcome to stop by for assistance. And if you're unable to make it that day, constituents are always welcome to reach out to our office directly. Our office number is 718-765-6674. Thank you.
Thank you, Peyton. Next will be Rafa.
Hi, everyone. I just want to second everything that Trisha said, and now I can also, pass on my report with some announcements from our office. So first of all, we've just been very busy. Obviously, we've been monitoring and been in close contact with the Midtown South Precinct around some of the recent incidents that we've been getting people's messages about in the Times Square upsetting incidents with the attacks on the cops. And we also, we are continuing to monitor that and being in touch with the precinct. And the precinct has been very much assuring us that everything is as it should. And beyond that, we were in Midtown last week to celebrate the Todd Hames Theater dedication, which was wonderful. I want to put in a plug that community board applications are open, as you should all well know. So if you are a board member seeking reappointment, or a member of the community listening in and considering applying, we do want to hear from you. The application can be found on our website at manhattanbp.nyc.gov. Our office has also been working on the sidewalk sheds around our borough. To highlight the issue, we recently presented our Shetty Awards to some of the longest standing sidewalk sheds. No surprise that some of the worst offenders have been up for over 10 years. So this is obviously a real problem. We have introduced legislation last year on sidewalk sheds, and we'll keep you posted on progress as those move forward. We'll also be hosting a celebration of Black History Month on February 20th at Aaron Davis Hall. It will be celebrating the evolution of hip hop in Manhattan, celebrating 50 years of hip hop by honoring hearing from legends and performances from a DJ. So we hope to see you there. Also on February 20th, we'll be hosting an information session with the DOF and NYC Tax Commission on notice of property value. Folks can learn about their market versus assessed values, how taxes are calculated, and how to save with property tax exemptions and abatements. So that will be held at 1 Center Street, the mezzanine level, from 5 to 8 p.m. on the 20th. Lastly, we'll be hosting free tax prep at our Northern Manhattan office at 431 West 125th Street on Fridays from 9 to 5 from now through April 12th. The only requirement is that the households make $85,000 or less, and appointments are strongly suggested. So please call 212-531-1609. Thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Biani.
Hello, I'm Biani from Councilmember Rivera's office, and I am happy to share that Councilmember Rivera was named chair on the Committee on Cultural Affairs, Libraries, and International Intergroup Relations. As always, our office continues to assist constituents to ensure our community is in safe housing, has access to food and heat, and are connected to vital resources. We are also shaping our legislative agenda for the next 2 years and look forward to passing meaningful laws on pressing issues like mopeds and street safety, challenges regarding asylum seekers and housing. And I just wanted to share very quickly that just today, Councilmember Rivera introduced legislation calling on the state and Mount Sinai and the Mount Sinai host system to halt the proposed closure. Our community has suffered enough disinvestment from healthcare, and the closure of this hospital will have devastating consequences. I also wanted to share that next Wednesday, February 14th, we are having a tour of the Met for older adults. We will be providing transportation and refreshments. I'll put the details in the chat. And we're having an upcoming tax prep on March 7th from 4 to 7 p.m. And I'll also put those details in the chat.
Thank you. Are there any other representatives of elected officials? Seeing none, we'll now enter into the business session of the board, where, as I mentioned, only board members are allowed to speak. Board members attending remotely, please remember to have your video on during the meeting. We're now entering the business session, starting with a roll call vote to accept the last month minutes. Before we vote on the minutes, I really want to point out how much work goes into preparing these minutes. Mary and her team, the board office, really spend hours and hours every month doing this. So I think tonight, a vote yes, approving the minutes will also be a vote of thanks to Mary and her team. May I have a motion? Motion to approve. And a second?
Second.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Kalis?
Yes, thank you.
Thanks. Athena? I'm sorry, Emma. Alokar? Gordon?
Yes.
Rosman is yes. Sure. Salal?
Yes.
Dosen? Yes. Ellington?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes.
Frizz?
Yes.
Garcia?
Yes.
Garland?
Yes.
Asha? Yes. Haas? Hager?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Hirschberg?
Yes.
Hutton?
Yes.
Isaacs? Kavak was, Kalafarsky?
Yeah.
Ensela?
Yes.
Lanagia? Lakisico?
Yes.
Levy? Mafia?
Yes.
Marks?
Yes.
McCall?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Nazaro?
Yes.
Noti Victor?
Yes.
Nye?
Yes.
Rivas?
Yes.
Shapiro?
Yes.
Sherburne?
Yes.
Sigmund?
Yes.
Slutskin?
Yes, and having done it for 7 years before you, 34 years before you, better you than me.
Appreciate it. Stop.
Yeah.
It keeps on giving. So.
Yes.
Sun?
Yes.
Takahashi Ryo?
Yes.
Webb? Shu?
Yes.
Young?
Yeah.
You? Zolkowitz?
Thank you, and yes.
Great. Motion passes.
All right, thanks, everyone. So for tonight's chair's report, it's with a mixture of emotions that I speak about our chair, Vicky Barbero. Tonight, we don't just mark the end of an era. We celebrate the remarkable leadership and dedication of someone who has truly made a difference in our community. Today, we bid farewell to Vicky Barbero, who has served as the chair of Community Board 5 with unparalleled commitment and passion. Vicky's decision to step down as chair is deeply personal for me, as I know it is for many of you. For me, Vicky has been more than just a colleague. She's been a mentor in the truest sense of the word. Her wisdom, her guidance, and her unwavering support have shaped not only my journey on this board, but also the journeys of the board office staff, the other officers, the committee chairs, and scores of board members over the years, and countless others who have had the privilege of working alongside her. With an impressive 30 years of service to our board, Vicki has been our institutional memory, our moral compass, and our steadfast advocate for integrity and fairness. She has created a space for us to come together, to debate, and even to disagree, all while maintaining the utmost respect and cohesion within our board. Vicki's tenure as chair has been nothing short of extraordinary. She has been the guiding force behind countless initiatives and projects that have transformed our community for the better. From advocating for improved public spaces to championing initiatives to address homelessness and support local businesses, Vicki's impact can be felt far and wide. Vicki's insistence on consensus building has set us apart as one of the most respected boards in the city. Her dedication to ensuring that every voice is heard and every perspective is considered has been the cornerstone of our success. Under Vicki's leadership, Community Board 5 has flourished, becoming a beacon of collaboration and progress. Her ability to bring people together, to listen to diverse viewpoints, and to find common ground has been instrumental in fostering a sense of unity and purpose within our community. As we reflect on Vicki's tenure, it's impossible to not be inspired by her unwavering dedication and tireless work ethic. Whether attending every committee meeting or lending a listening ear to community members, Vicki has always gone above and beyond to serve the needs of our community with grace and humility. For Vicki, being chair of Community Board 5 was more than just a title. It was a full-time commitment, a labor of love that she poured her heart and soul into for the benefit of our community. Her tireless efforts, her unwavering dedication, and her selfless leadership have left an indelible mark on all of us. But perhaps what truly sets Vicki apart is her integrity. Throughout her tenure, she has remained immune to outside influence and special interests, always putting the needs of our community above all else. Her example has been a beacon of light in an often murky world of politics, bureaucracy, and special interests. As I speak to you tonight, I can't help but feel a sense of regret that some of our new members have not had the opportunity to learn from Vicki for as long as many of us have. But I take comfort in knowing that the values and principles she has instilled in us will continue to guide us long after she has stepped down as chair. Vicki leaves behind a legacy that will endure for years to come. While we will miss her leadership dearly, we can take comfort in knowing that the seeds she has planted will continue to bear fruit long into the future. Vicki, as you embark on this new chapter in your life, know that you carry with you the admiration and respect of all those whose lives you have touched. You leave behind a board that is stronger, more cohesive, and more united because of your tireless efforts. We wish you nothing but the best in all your future endeavors, and we look forward to seeing the incredible things you will undoubtedly accomplish. Vicki, on behalf of all of us at Community Board 5, I want to express our deepest gratitude for your service, your leadership, and your friendship. You have truly left an indelible mark on our community, and we are forever grateful for all that you have done. You have been an inspiration to us all, and we will miss you more. We will miss you more than words can express. Vicki Barbero, thank you for everything. So where do we go from here? So with the resignation of the chair, the bylaws provide that the first vice chair becomes chair, which leaves the that leaves the position of first vice chair now vacant. In order to fill the vacancy, the bylaws provide that nominations will be accepted from the floor at the full board meeting today. Nominations for the position of first vice chair shall be taken from the floor right now. At the March board meeting, there will be a roll call vote to fill the vacancy. There will be no nominations from the floor at the March meeting. So if anyone has a nomination for the position of first vice chair, please raise your hand now. Bradley?
I would like to nominate Leila Lopez-Aguilar.
Second.
Leila?
Also second.
Yes.
Yes,
I nominate Samir Lavingia.
great. And
Second.
anyone else? Okay, so there'll be two nominees that we vote on at the next full board meeting in March. The next item on the agenda is ratification of an action by the executive committee. This doesn't happen very often, so I sort of want to explain what we did and how this works. So the bylaws provide that in emergency situations, the executive committee may act on behalf of the board, and any such action shall be ratified by the board membership at the next regular monthly meeting. The item that the executive committee acted upon was a letter of testimony. We'll ask from the land use committee, we'll ask Leila to describe this letter. Public comment was taken at the committee level. Leila, do you accept your nomination?
I do accept the nomination. Thank you. Thank you, Brad, and thank you for all who is that in the time.
Has anyone spoken to Samir about accepting his nomination?
He's unable to make the meeting, but it accepts the nomination.
Okay. All right. So Leila will ask you to fill us in on the letter that was sent, and explain, the reason that the executive committee had to act. So we won't be taking questions and comments on the letter because it's already been done. After the report on the letter, we'll vote on ratifying it tonight.
All right, so, okay, the microphone is on. Good evening, everyone. So very briefly, this is a letter that was delivered in oral testimony at the City Planning Commission yesterday at the public hearing, and the matter is an action proposed by the Department of City Planning known as the Green Fast Track. This proposal by the Department of City Planning would exempt residential buildings of 250 dwelling units or less that are not conforming or not compliant and that would otherwise request a special permit to actually avoid undergoing this environmental review. The Land Use Committee of Community Board 5 examined the matter, although we did not receive a presentation from the Department of City Planning. We carefully looked at the text and believe that this proposal is actually detrimental to Community Board 5 and to community boards as a whole. It would, and I should mention that, you know, the buildings would be exempt provided that their energy systems, heat and hot water, would be electric. You know, back to the concerns of the committee felt that buildings that are non-conforming and non-compliant should undergo a environmental review if they ought to be approved.
It is especially important to actually gather the data, but also to assess the cumulative impact that these buildings may have. The committee also noted that according to Local Law 97 that will become effective in 1929, new buildings in New York City would have to be fully electric, and therefore by getting this exemption, we're actually not gaining much, given that this will become the law in 5 years. The committee felt it was really important to deliver oral testimony at the public hearing that was scheduled for yesterday, and therefore the timing did not allow for the full board to examine the language of this proposal. The committee voted in such direction, and the letter was approved by the executive committee.
Okay, we're not going to take questions and comments. We'll go right into a vote to ratify the.
Bayless,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Rosenthal is yes, Delau,
No.
Joseph. Yes. Ellington,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Fritz,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Garland,
Yes.
Gashaw,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hirschberg,
Yes.
Hutton,
Yes.
Kalafarsky,
Yes.
Kinsella,
Yes.
Lukashenko. Yes. Mafia,
Yes.
Marks,
Yes.
McCall.
Yes.
Miller,
No.
Nazaro,
No.
No T. Victor,
No.
Nye,
Yes.
Rivas,
Yes.
Shapiro,
Yes.
Sherburne,
Yes.
Sigmund,
Yes.
Lunskin,
Yes.
Southworth,
Yes.
Sung,
Yes.
Takahashi Real,
No, I gave some comments in the committee, no.
Shu,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Zolkowitz.
Yeah.
Motion passes.
Okay, now on to committee reports, first with a report from Bex. Renee.
Thank you, Nick. Bex has one letter. May I deem it read?
Yes, Oji.
Thank you. Each year, the community boards have the opportunity to comment on the responsiveness of the preliminary budget to our own statement of budget priorities that we all submitted, the BEX committee submitted on behalf of the board, and the board voted on it earlier in this year, as well as any other comments or recommendation which we wish to make in regard to the preliminary budget. I just want to run through very briefly the process because I know we have a lot of new people. Each January, the mayor presents a preliminary budget. It's an outline of priorities and goals. City then follows a process to ensure the budget meets all the needs of the communities. And then from March to April, the council analyzes the mayor's preliminary budget, and they hold a series of public hearings to identify specific concerns. And then based on the analysis, the council formally responds to the mayor's preliminary budget. And then in April, the mayor releases the executive budget, which is an updated proposal budget based on the council's response. The council then comes back for a second round of targeted hearings. And then through May and June, the council and the mayor negotiate adjustments to the executive budget. And that results in what's known as the adopted budget, which is all to say is that we're commenting now and that things could change going forward. These are our comments based on our register that was received. So this year's response to our budget request can be found on the OMB website. All of the BEX committee has looked at it. As usual, many of our requests were met with a directive to contact the agency concerned directly for more information or with a notation that further study or information is needed. We get this a lot, and these responses will be typical for what we've seen over the years, and those requests will be followed up by the BEX committee and through the board office. We did have some immediate wins this year in terms of sanitation, youth employment programs, and funding for drainage programs, which are all things that have been on our list of budget requests for many years. There's still areas, particularly in housing and services for the mentally ill, where we'd like to have our budget requests considered or fulfilled. And these are referenced in the letter, which you see before us. The BEX committee adopted the letter 1000. So it was unanimous.
Okay, thanks. The board is not voting on that. That was a letter that we did out from the committee. So that's just a report of what they did. It doesn't require a vote from the full board.
Gives you an opportunity to comment or question.
Sure.
So just a few things, and I'll address them here, and also Renee. I think it's very important that we explore ways and we ask that the city explore more ways for the wealthiest people in the community to pay a fair share, because as we have limited resources, there's an opportunity to gain new resources. Secondly, regarding the migrants, these people are so eager to work and so capable of working. We need to help them in every way possible to get them work permits as soon as possible. There also have communities, these people are from all over the world, Asia, Africa, South America, coming through Mexico after arduous journeys. They do very well in the congregate shelters that we have, where about 4,000 to 5,000 street homeless have not done well. And we can get them permits and get them into communities across New York State and through New England. They would do extremely well. Very happy to see this about micro-mobility education at that level. People don't know that you can't ride your bike on the sidewalk. On sanitation, a question for Renee. Does this include the composting program as well? Those cuts have not been finalized.
So we understand so some of the budget monies that were taken away from sanitation for composting have been put back. And so I would say that composting is still going forward. It's limited. And again, as I explained and gave you the overview of this is a preliminary budget. So I believe that the sanitation will fund the recycling programs. And we'll see it as it goes through May and June, but we do applaud that and we have asked for that in our budget requests. With regard to your other comments, all of this commentary comes out of the register, our actual budget requests.
Just, I can close if I can, Nick. On HB Day, the financing new homes, there's new legislation to be put forward by Senator Claire and Assemblywoman Gallagher for a social housing development authority. And I would encourage people to take a close look at that. I think it's very important. On DHS, unhoused individuals, that's about 4,000 or 5,000 in the entire city. And I would encourage people to learn more about SHAP, the Street Homeless Advocacy Project initiated by Norm Siegel and Bob Hayes. That's a totally volunteer neighbor to unhoused neighbor program. I hope we have an opportunity to talk about that. And finally, on mental health, Beth Israel has 30 psych beds. We lose that and we have no psych beds in Lower Manhattan. So thank you, Nick.
Okay, next up, the Landmarks Committee, Leila.
Right. No, yes. Mr. Chair, with your permission, can I say a few words about our departing chair before I go into my committee reports?
Of course.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Very briefly, I don't have any written remarks, but I just want to say that Vicky Barbero has served, as you know, for 30 years on Committee Board 5. She has inspired so many of us. She has been a mentor. I think she has taught us how to conduct business, how to really deeply care for our communities, and how to apply the very, very important concept of humanity. She is a profoundly human person, a person of utmost integrity. And although, Mr. Chair, you said that it was the beginning of a new era, I actually think that it is just a continuation. Her imprint on this community board is so deep and so profound that I have great trust that her values and her principles will endure. On a personal level, she is one of the very important persons in my life, a true mentor. She taught me everything I had to learn about running a meeting, how to conduct business, how to understand parliamentary procedures, and so much more. She is going to be greatly, greatly missed, and I really lament the fact that she decided to step down. I understand it, but I think it's a great, great loss for us. So thank you for the opportunity. All right, now to committee report, landmarks. We had 3 applications this month. I would like the resolutions to be deemed read, and I would like to bundle. Okay, thank you. So the first one, let me get these. So the address is 924 Broadway. This is in the Ladies Mile Historic District, located on Broadway between East 21st and East 22nd Streets on the east side of the street. This application, so this is a contributing building. It has been altered quite a bit over the years. The final extensive alteration was in 1950, and it was not exactly a very sympathetic alteration, but nonetheless, it is a contributing building according to the designation report. So here's the story. In 2008, this applicant comes to LPC because they want to replace the windows. LPC says, okay, you can do your window replacement, and this is the design that you need to do, and this is what's approved. They say, okay, thank you so much, and then they build something totally different. I mean, the windows are still the windows, you know, they didn't do something other than, you know, windows, but they are not the size, the operating mechanism, or the materials that were approved by LPC in 2008. So they're coming to us with an application for legalization of violations. So, you know, for a little bit of framing, the way we look at these applications, you know, thank God we don't see so many of them. But, you know, we basically ask ourselves 2 questions. The first one is, was the work done in a egregious, disingenuous fashion? Was it intentional, malicious to actually cause this violation? And then the second question that we ask ourselves is, had the applicant come with this particular work that is done, would we have approved it? Is it okay or is it not okay? Is it gross? Is it, can we live with it? So we put, you know, this application through this prism. It took us literally over an hour. You know, the other massive applications that are coming up after that took way less time. We got really passionate, you know, around these questions. And so to give you a little bit of a description, basically they were supposed to build, you know, a fenestration system that was of a certain material, and they used a different material. It was supposed to be steel, and they used aluminum. The proportions of the windows was changed. So the lower panels versus the transom was different. And then the opening mechanism was also changed. On the question of whether they acted in a malicious fashion, I think that, you know, the committee was really on the fence. We can totally see that, you know, a contractor decided that, oh, well, you know, we can do something different that is still going to fit in the window opening. So, you know, did not consult, and, you know, the windows were delivered, and the workers installed the windows, and then, you know, LPC noticed. It is possible, and so we erred on the side of, you know, maybe agreeing that it was not totally intentional. On the second question, this is where we actually really debated the issue. The committee was very torn. Some really felt that the fenestration layout and proportions was not acceptable. Others felt that, you know, the windows were there and we can live with it. In the end, I am bringing you a vote in favor of the legalization, and it came down to 7500.
Does anyone have a conflict of interest with this application? Any questions?
Thanks, Leila. Can I ask what benefit the applicant gets from legalizing versus just going status quo?
Yeah, for that,
We didn't hear the question.
What benefits the applicant would get from legalizing formally?
yes, so the question is what benefit from legalizing? Actually, you cannot live with a violation. The city will not allow that. So also for the record, the violation was actually noted in 2014. So they've been trying to legalize this issue for 10 years. And I think they were hoping to be able to get away with it. All sorts of things that happen administratively, you get basically a bad mark, it becomes very complicated to pull a DOB permit, so you have, all these incentives to actually finally cure the violation. And basically, there are two avenues. You can actually, just scratch what you did and do it the correct way, the way it was approved in the original permit, or you can try to obtain another permit that would basically supersede the one that was issued in 2008. And LPC could also decide all sorts of things in between. They could decide that, maybe, the left windows are okay, but you have to work on the right window. The committee took the position, and, it's obviously a very, very close vote, that, the legalization path was okay. And but we know that, it's not precedent setting. We're not saying, well, it's okay, do whatever you want, and then, come to legalize. We basically say that, we don't believe it was intentional, and we believe that on a appropriateness standpoint, we can live with it.
Any other questions? Charles?
How do we ensure in the future, that other applicants understand, to try not to, stray from what they're meant to be doing? Is there any way of, try to, really help them through the process so they don't go straight?
Yeah, no, this is really the core of what we discussed at committee. And
Leila, can you repeat the question?
oh, yeah, sorry. So the question is, how do we make sure that applicants in the future don't do the same? And how do we prevent, this from becoming a trend? And, this was really the crux of the discussion at the committee. Legalizing a violation is really a problem, and we should never do it lightly. And it's really hard. It is really hard. And I think that, those, it's only, I am presenting the majority report, so I cannot really speak to, those who voted against the resolution. But, I can give a little bit of color, and I think that, this was very much a concern.
Other questions? Any comments? Okay, next.
Okay, so the next application is, okay, here we are. 225 Fifth Avenue. This is located at the corner of Fifth Avenue and 26th Street. This is the northeast corner, directly across from Madison Square Park, a very prominent building. It is located in the Madison Square North Historic District. The applicant is proposing to do an alteration on a side entrance that is located on 26th Street. The main entrance is located on Fifth Avenue. And as you can see in the reso package on page 7, there is a flight of stairs with, I think, like 5 steps that lead to this entrance. The applicant is proposing to remove these steps and basically bring the door all the way to the sidewalk level. The stairs would have to be relocated, but they would be within the building, pushed inside. So it's not really an accessibility benefit, because the stairs would still be there, but they would be located in the interior of the building. The committee felt that overall it was actually an acceptable alteration. It is historic fabric, and we never take it lightly to touch historic fabric, but we felt that it was actually not detracting from the streetscape. There are no other stairs on this block, so it was not ruining a pattern of consistent stair articulation at the street level. And the way it is hatched was actually elegant, with contextual materials, granite at the base, using the stone that currently exists. The applicant is also proposing to install sconces on each side of the door, and you can also see it on your reso package on page 7. And we felt that these sconces were appropriate. We had some concerns about how it is going to be installed. And we're really urging the applicant to install the sconces in a way that would not penetrate the stone, but rather go through the masonry. And but we felt that overall it was worthy of recommending approval, and it was a unanimous vote.
Okay, does anyone have a conflict of interest? Any questions? Megan?
A quick question, I'm assuming when the steps were outside, that there was some sort of handicap accessibility? Is that just brought inside?
The main entrance is accessible. The main entrance, which is on Fifth Avenue, is at grade.
Any other questions? Any comments? Next one?
Okay. So the next application is 218 West 57th Street. This is a four-story French Renaissance Revival building. It is an individual landmark. It was built in 1897, very historic, very important building. And the applicant is the team of production for Fantôme de l'Opéra, Phantom of the Opera. And they're basically taking over the entire building where they will be having their theatrical production. They are proposing actually a large number of alterations, including a rooftop addition, the relocation of mechanical equipment at the roof level, relocation and construction of bulkheads to accommodate an elevator that will actually come directly onto the roof, as well as a stair bulkhead and as well as a railing. Their goal here is to actually use the rooftop for the production, so there would be viewers and patrons who would actually access the roof. It is an immersive theater experience. They are also proposing alterations at the base of the building, including creating vitrines at around the bay windows that are currently occupied by retail space. So overall, as I said, very extensive alterations, all of them very tasteful, very high quality, and the committee voted to support. And we were actually rather excited by this application, and the vote was 11-001.
Does anyone have a conflict with this matter? Any questions? Any comments?
I have a conflict.
Mark, did you want to go?
Yeah, just wanted to say that I had a conflict.
Okay, thanks. David?
Yes, this seems unusual for a landmark designated building to go through such a large change that it's going to become an entertainment center with performance space on the roof of the building, when this abuts directly to a residential building. It seems like no care was taken to see whether the residents of the neighborhood, because I found out about this too late. I live in the building that's right next door to this, and I find it unusual that there's now going to be performance space in the building next to mine on their roof. I just think it's unusual that the normally fastidious landmarks committee would allow such a major change for a landmark building to be so readily acceptable when it's going to have a big effect on the neighborhood.
I'm happy to address this. I know it's a comment, but am I allowed to address it? Thank you. So, it was posted as per the requirements. And I agree with you, the work that they're proposing is actually pretty extensive. But as you know, our threshold to evaluate alterations is really from thoroughfares. And although the building is small, and although the lot adjacent to it is actually vacant, I mean, it's an open space, the additions on the roof are actually not visible. They're absolutely not visible from the primary facade, minimally visible from the secondary facade. From the tertiary facade, which is, on 50, so wait, does it go through to 56 or to 58?
56.
To 56, so from 56, it is more visible because you have this open area next to the building. But even then, it is actually not that big. So for all these reasons, given that the visibility is really minimal, we really didn't have grounds to object to it. At the retail level, they're going to install these vitrines, that basically will be, inside it will be a replica of the stage, and probably actually of the stage of the Opera in Paris. So, we, once again, we don't comment on use. It's really, the big, sort of, solid boundary where, we can't really say, well, we don't like a theater. We're really about, what does it look like? Is it appropriate to the building and to the, historical context? And, there was really no reason. So I think that maybe there is a land use issue that may be triggered with, having, a high occupancy on the roof, but it really didn't fall under the purview of our landmarks committee.
Any other comments? Okay, we'll take the bundle to vote.
Michaelis,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Bosnahan is yes, Deval,
Yes.
Joseph. Ellington,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Riz,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Joshua. Yes. Hader. Harris,
Yes.
Mark with the exception of the third one.
Yes, yes, and present but not entitled for that one.
Elizabeth Hutton,
Yes.
Alfarski,
Yeah.
Kinsella,
Yes.
Legacyco.
Yeah.
Mafia,
Yes.
Marks,
Yes.
McCall.
Yeah.
Miller,
Yes.
Nazaro,
Yes.
Noti Victor.
Yes.
Sorry. Nye,
Yes.
Rivas,
Yes.
Shapiro,
Yes.
Sherburne,
Yes.
Sigmund,
Yes.
Slutskin,
Yes.
Southworth,
Yes.
Sung,
Yes.
Takahashi Real,
Yeah.
Shu,
Yeah.
Young,
Yeah.
Zolkowitz.
Yes.
Okay, next we'll do state licenses and permits. And I'll announce David Sigmund as the new chair of the staff committee. And, his vice chair will be Janice.
Nice.
What? Thanks, Nick. I have the same title in my day job for 15 years, but here I got 2 promotions in a year. So I know where I'm spending my time.
And the salary?
So we have one item on the agenda, but it's a doozy. We have the renewal of the liquor license for Madison Square Garden. And the issue really was not about the license itself as much as it was about things that we've probably all read recently, which was that they have a denial of access policy that relates to attorneys that have worked on things that are adverse to the company's interests. And what we learned is that it may be one attorney that worked on something, but the entire firm, the attorneys at the entire firm that that attorney worked at are banned from entering Madison Square Garden properties, including Beacon Theater and Radio City Music Hall. Related to that was that they use facial recognition technology to exclude these people. And the third issue that we looked at were some complaints about drunken behavior and understanding the service restrictions in the operation of the garden. So MSG was represented by their head of government affairs, as well as the associate general counsel. And just to give you a sense of kind of the justification of the particularly the facial recognition technology that they were using, that they felt that it
complies with all city, state, and federal laws. They use multiple tools to keep patrons safe and protect the train hall below. And that technology is widely used in sports, retail, casino, and airport facilities. The exclusion policy also applies to individuals who have previously or threatened to engage in misconduct. And then this attorney policy who have violated their adverse attorney policy. All of the affected firms were notified, and firms are excluded if they're plaintiff attorneys for harassment or discrimination, or plaintiffs themselves. They are currently engaged in litigation with the State Liquor Authority, and that's the other aspect of this, is that the SLA went ahead and approved the renewal. But that could be retracted, depending on the outcome of the litigation that's currently in process. The origin of the policy was tort litigation, and then it grew beyond that. One of the questions that was raised was, is this only threats against the corporate entity, or could it also have been against individual Madison Square Garden employees who will remain nameless? And the answer was that it's strictly corporate. For most of the questions we had, the answer was no comment because of the ongoing litigation. The question was raised about the use of images, facial images, for the recognition without permission. And MSG also had limited comment on that, but felt that, as they had mentioned before, that it's fully legal and used elsewhere. I'll say BJ asked the question about, do they also have an adverse community board member policy? And they had no comment. So we can all go to any of them we want. So on the misbehavior question, which to be honest was a personal experience of mine, because I work across the street and I live just south, so I walk by there a lot during and after events, and I witnessed a number of public urination by people wearing Ranger jerseys, which has nothing to do with the fact that I was raised as an Islander fan. But they gave us, the full story on how they manage the sale of liquor, how they train staff. They do have denial policies for people that are visibly intoxicated. They have a secret shopper program to make sure their staff is following their policies appropriately. And they do have cutoffs. The fourth quarter for a Knick game, the third period for Rangers. Each event has its own cutoff. They provide security that are all direct employees plus NYPD off-duty officers. And they deploy security to the exits and to the perimeter of the property. And bathrooms stay open until everybody has exited the hall. We did raise the question, and thank you to Catherine and Todd on a lot of this, but Catherine raised the question of, would they partner with us in order to give neighbors a safe space to discuss any of the concerns that they have? And they would, and they gave us contact information for their guest relation department, and if people want to raise concerns. So during the business session, most of the discussion revolved around the fact that people felt that the attorney policy was overly punitive because it affected large categories of attorneys and their entire firm. And it was just so unusual. The public safety, the general feeling was that the work that they were doing was reasonable, and that more communication was required with the local community, and so we will work to make that possible. So in the end, the motion was to deny the renewal of the license and to draw attention to the broad nature of the exclusion policy, And so that was approved by the committee 15-000.
Okay, the resolution will be deemed read. Does anyone have a conflict with this matter? Are there any questions to the resolution? Charles?
I've got, I was say, sorry, I missed the committee item. I just wanted to say, did they speak anything about due process? Because surely, if people are excluded, surely, wouldn't they have a right to some sort of form of appealing or, why they should be excluded, or, maybe to ask to have their, image to be removed, or some sort of, way of this, exclusion list or something like that? And, are these like images that are on there forever, or, permanently? Maybe, could you shed light on that?
Yeah, good question. So I'll answer the last part first. I mean, they did say that these images are not maintained on the system. And so they exist only on the system, and then they're purged from the system on a regular basis. On the due process, I think that fell, I don't remember us having a specific question about it, but it also fell in the category of no comment. I mean, really, anytime we tried to explore the policy in any depth, they didn't want to get crosswise with the litigation that's currently going on.
Other questions? Any comments? So,
Bravo, slap.
any other comments?
Okay, so David did a good job of summarizing the issues. I did the due diligence in this. I just have a couple of short pointers to make. The first thing is, it says in the SLA's own regulations and in the statute that they have to give equal access. And here we have a major corporation ignoring that or eliding that requirement for their own interest. They don't want lawyers coming in and doing research or ad hoc accumulation of evidence against their interests. So this is an example of us as a community board looking out for the public interest. The idea that they have this broad category of attorneys. I mean, look, attorneys get a bad rap, but a lot of them show up at the Garden, see the circus or sporting events, or the Rangers or the Knicks, what have you. And if they're excluded for the narrow pecuniary or legal interests of a big corporation, that goes directly against their liquor license. And then we're upholding the public interest with that regard. The other issue has to do with the digital imagery. Everybody here knows how I have consistently made the point that you cannot use somebody's digital imagery without their express permission. So you heard in the description by David that the attorneys, and I'm sure they meant well, they're making the best possible argument. But in my opinion, it is not true that they were complying with the law in New York State as they described it. And again, we're sticking up for the public interest.
Okay, thanks, Todd. Any other comments? Okay, we'll take this to a vote.
McCandless,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Bosnian is yes. Hello,
Yes.
Joseph. Yeah. Ellington,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Fritz,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Garland,
Yes.
Gasho. Yes. Harris,
Yes.
Hirschberg,
Yes.
Hutton. Yes. Kulibarski,
Yes.
Kinsella,
Yes.
Lakisiko. Yes. Mafia,
Yes.
Marks. Yes. Miller,
Abstain.
Nazaro.
Yes.
Marty Baker,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Rivas,
Yes.
Shapiro,
Yes.
Sherburne,
Yes.
Sigmund, Slutskin,
Yes.
Southworth,
Yes.
Song,
Yes.
Takahashi Real,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Young.
Yeah.
Nicholas.
Yeah. Okay, next up, land use, housing and zoning, back to Leo.
All right, so we had, 3 items on the agenda this month. I'm bringing 3 resolutions. I would like the resolutions to be deemed read.
So do you
Thank you, and I would like to bundle.
bundle?
Okay, so, we are finally bringing, to you the, City of Yes for Economic Opportunity zoning tax amendment. A little bit of, background about, this proposal. The, committee had actually, 3 months to go through it, which is so enormous. And we are very grateful for the Department of City Planning who came and attended and gave us a full presentation 2 months in a row, and attended our 3rd meeting to provide further guidance and answer any questions as we were discussing the text and taking a vote. I also want to thank all my colleagues who took the time to attend the meetings, watch the replay of tapes, provide some suggestion and edits on the resolution, so greatly appreciated. So the genesis of the text, the Department of City Planning has introduced an ambitious set of zoning text changes known as the City of Yes. As you probably remember, we voted on the first package of this initiative known as the City of Yes for Carbon Neutrality. This board actually voted to support the text, the City Planning Commission as well, and then the City Council voted to support the text with modifications. The second part of this major initiative is known as the City of Yes for Economic Opportunity. And it actually came from this initiative came from a panel that was appointed jointly by the mayor and the governor following the COVID pandemic. And this panel was known as the New New York. And it gathered captains of industries, business leaders, and other, influential economy players in New York City and states. It was co-chaired by 2 co-chairs, including Dan Doctorow, who used to be in the Bloomberg administration. And the work of the panel resulted in informing this initiative. And basically what it does, what it aims to do, is to support economic opportunity and economic development in New York. The text is segmented into 18 different proposals. And these 18 proposals fall under 4 different categories. Hold on, I think I want my glasses. So the goals are to make it easier for businesses to find space and grow in New York City, to boost growing industries, to enable more business-friendly streetscape, and to decarbonize our waste stream. The components, as I said, 18 of them run a wide range of tackling specific issues. The department was actually pretty clear that they wanted to hear our feedback on each one of them, but overall they fall under some general categories. So the committee did that. We looked actually at each proposal point by point, and we lumped them in the end in our recommendation in 3 different categories. There's a whole category of proposals that simply don't apply to Community Board 5. They apply to low density districts, to residential districts. We do have 2 residential districts. They're extremely small, and they basically, the proposals were not applicable to our district. So on all of those, we actually don't take any comment. We don't want to, tell other boards how they should weigh in on matters. So we remain silent on those. And then there was a whole subset of those proposals that we actually support. including the whole re-nomenclature of zoning categories. Right now, and use groups. Right now, for example, we still have, we are working with the 1961 zoning resolution. It was not, reworked in that long. Many alterations have been made, but like a big overall has not happened since 1961. So we still have use group known as typewriters. Well, obviously, this is totally obsolete. New use groups for, I don't know, like 3D printers don't exist in the zoning resolution. So there was a lot of like reshuffling, cleaning up all the nomenclature for the use groups. All sorts of other proposals, simplifying the business types in commercial streets, introducing corridor design rules to ensure that commercial buildings continue to thrive. Micro distribution that we felt was a very good added use that currently is not permitted or is very limited in its applicability. So all of those we basically said that we are supportive. And then there is a range of proposals that the committee felt was not appropriate. And that includes the ability, for example, to cite any type of lab in commercial and manufacturing districts, which in essence, given that the vast majority of our districts are commercial, and that in commercial residential use is permitted, it would mean that you could live next to a lab that is manipulating live agents that could cause lethal disease. And we also commented on nightlife. There is the proposed rule change would actually allow dancing and live entertainment in a much broader part of our district where there is actually residential use, and we felt that it could create a conflict, especially as the capacity would increase, and we know that nightlife is permitted in a large number of areas in CB5, and they do cause conflicts. We're dealing with these kinds of issues all the time, so we felt it was not prudent to extend the potential conflicts. We did comment on urban farming. We believe that urban farming is a use that is actually not really necessary. We really struggle to understand what kind of problem and challenge this text was trying to address. We felt that the only crop that could sustain the high cost of land in New York City would be cannabis, and we felt that it was not really a good use of a building to actually have a cannabis farm. For a little bit of context, a high-end chef who wants to have his basil and tomatoes so that they can serve ultra fresh produce. This is already permitted. This is deemed an accessory use, so that this would not prevent the great culinary masters of New York from doing their work. Also worth noting, outdoor agriculture is permitted and doesn't fall under this particular regulation. So you could still have a community garden, a rooftop transformed into a urban farm. So all these uses would remain permitted. We had a regular discussion on the amusement use. We believe that the language of the text is way too broad. Basically, it would permit any kind of amusement as a permitted use in most of CB5. We believe that there is a vast difference between a, let's say, table tennis room or an indoor playground for children and a full-fledged amusement park that you take over an entire super tall building. It's totally different, and they should be treated differently. And while it's probably perfectly okay to have a children's indoor playground in our district, having a, a full-fledged, amusement park a la, what is it called, Six Flags, Four Flags, whatever number of flags they have, would, as of right, without any further, review, would not be, prudent. We also, believe that creating an additional use group that would permit much denser and bigger, bulkier buildings, similar to what was constructed in Hudson Yards, would not necessarily be prudent. So we are also recommending that the Department of City Planning revises the language on that. And then finally, on home occupation, we basically permit someone to operate their business from their home. We had grave concerns about that for a variety of reasons. The first one is that we really feel that it would bring commercial uses into residential buildings, and that it would actually push it would compete against a residential use that we know there is a shortage of, and that this additional pressure would actually not be in adequation with our position on housing. We believe that creating and preserving housing is important, and then if all of a sudden, let's say someone has a two-bedroom apartment, and they decide that they want to, and they are a barber, and they want to have their barber operation in their apartment, now they would be allowed to use 49% of their apartment for that. So we felt that it would be a pretty big push on the residential use that we saw as not being beneficial. We also felt that the conflict between commercial and residential could actually be very problematic, and to the admission of the chair of the City Planning Commission, Dan Brodnick, there is no enforcement, and therefore any conflict that would arise from these competing uses would be difficult to address, given that the city doesn't have the enforcement power. What else? I think that touches on all the points that we raised in the resolution. In terms of objections, we voted to issue a denial unless these points are addressed.
Does anyone have a conflict of interest? Any questions to the resolution? Zoll?
Yeah, Layla, would you just explain page 15, line 528? I see a strike through under further be it resolved that enable entrepreneurship with modern and also home-based businesses. Could you explain?
Yes, you will actually find line 11. I don't know, that was thank you actually for mentioning it. So it's actually more to Josh than anybody else. Line 518, we have to strike this. Line 528, we have to strike it, but like literally take it off the reso. And it appears on line 542. So it was, it needed to be reclassified, and somehow it made its way in every part, but it definitely belongs to the last bit. Thanks.
Can you restate those line numbers?
518 comes off. 528 comes off. And then 542 stays in as is.
Thank you.
Other questions to the resolution, Bradley?
Yeah, I have a few, if that's all right.
Sure.
The first one is, did city planning offer any alternative indoor agricultural uses besides marijuana that they were trying to address with this proposal?
Their answer to that question was actually, they gave us the example of the chef who wants fresh basil, but this is a use that is already permitted. It's accessory to a restaurant, and they did not elaborate further. We actually asked many times, what problem are you to solve?
And they didn't have an answer. Next, for the home business uses, are there any restrictions now under this proposal? If this proposal were ratified, would there be any restrictions or truly any business is allowed in a home?
No, there's a whole set of restrictions, you know, you cannot have like a full commercial kitchen or, you know, there is a, like, you know, a list of, new types of, businesses that would be, permitted. And they range from, you know, it's very odd, you know, that there's something a little, disconcerting about how these lists get made. So currently, a nail salon is permitted, but a barber shop is not. But now under this proposal, both would be permitted. A law firm is not permitted, but under this proposal, it would. And an interior decorator is not permitted, and now it would. But a doggy daycare would still not be permitted, which actually my dog is going to testify.
All right, and then my last question is those new additional district types that they were proposing, was there any sort of indication of where they might be located, or they just want to create new categories to then use later?
Yeah, so it would be mostly for manufacturing districts. And I think that, you know, the vision here is to allow for the loft type building, but to give it a commercial use. And we felt that we are about to, you know, as far as it applies to us, to CB5, listen, you know, maybe it is, you know, a useful tool for other districts, but for CB5, we are about to embark in the, you know, second largest rezoning that this board has undergone with the Midtown South rezoning. We are going to rezone this entire manufacturing district into commercial use. And we feel that it's going to be a much better tool to actually do it with an actual rezoning where you get an environmental statement, you see the impacts, you can mitigate, you can say, oh yeah, it's going to create, you know, 50 new, need for 50 new seats in an elementary school. That triggers, you know, a certain response. So we have a better ability to really plan, and we feel it's much better to do it this way than that way.
Thank you, that's all.
Other questions to the resolution? Any comments? Anchor.
Thank you. I plan to vote against the land use resolution that recommends denial of the application unless or now until removed or amended. So first, I don't agree with the framing at the beginning of the resolution that characterized the City of Yes amendment as ambitious and aggressive. I actually think it's a relatively modest proposal to modernize certain technical aspects of the zoning rules. I also think some of our objections are a bit overstated. So for example, we claim to propose expanded opportunities for production. This is item number 3, because we strongly support the underlying principles that originally created the division between manufacturing versus commercial zones. But that's not actually what our current zoning resolution does. Instead, our current zoning resolution allows for mixed retail production businesses in commercial zones as long as those kinds of mixed businesses were common in 1961. So we allow dressmaking and hat manufacturing in all commercial districts, but we disallowed it. We allow printing shops in C4 and C6 districts, but we forbid 3D printing in those districts. We allow bakeries in all commercial districts, but we ban coffee roasters. Our zoning code already permits mixed commercial manufacturing uses. I think we should modernize them for our modern economy. We also state concerns about new zoning districts for future job hubs. That's item 18, because we had concerns about the bulk and massing. But I think the concern is premature. The proposal doesn't actually change any zoning maps. And so we won't see any new bulk or massing as a result of this proposal. Instead, it creates new zoning categories that we can consider during a ULURP process. The city simply wants the communities to have a broader range of zoning options for consideration in commercial and manufacturing districts that are rezoned. So in CB5, when we go through this Midtown South rezoning, we can certainly weigh in at that time about whether these new district types make sense. Proving City of Yes doesn't remove that right. Finally, when it comes to significant land use measures where we have mixed use, I think we should try to get to improve with conditions instead of a denial unless concerns are addressed. Well, in some contexts, it makes sense. Deny a measure if we have concerns because that particular city agency that's tasked to review the community board resolutions will only look at it if it was framed as a denial. I don't think this is one of those contexts. This is a high profile attempt to pass modest modernizations to our zoning codes. And we are neutral or supportive of the majority of the resolution. So in that case, I think we should support the measure with conditions as necessary to let our elected officials know that community boards are open to the changes that are necessary to make our communities adapt to the 21st century. So we'll vote against this.
Any other comments, Dawn?
Thank you, Nick. Outstanding work by the committee. This is a very complex, and very problematic proposal from the new New York panel, which is in itself problematic, and the administration, I think, is doing a very poor job here. I note a number of things that Anchor stated. I think that those need to be addressed. But one of the things that's really missing here in terms of land use is we're really not looking at creating more air and light around the city. And so a terrible problem that we have now in land use is the as of right to build sliver buildings, to build vertically at all times. There's no consideration. There's nothing in the city of Yes that talks about setbacks, about terraces, about green rooftops. This can make a huge difference. We should be building ziggurats rather than towers. And this is a great problem with this city of Yes. I think the committee is right to do a denial with all the resolutions it's added, and I plan to vote with the committee. Thank you.
Other comments, Donna?
Thanks for the committee for all the hard work. I think
Speak up, please.
Thanks for the committee's hard work. I think it's like very heartening to know that these very nuanced considerations are being taken. I wanted to comment a little bit on indoor agriculture and controlled environment agriculture. From my perspective, it's a very unique solution to the global food system, which is arguably very broken. Existing agriculture today drives around 30% of our greenhouse gas emissions and 90% of all freshwater consumption. With population growth, we don't have enough land to feed people if we're going to continue along the current dietary habits. Climate change is also eroding crop yields and what we can get naturally outside, and significant food waste and unmet local demand. Most of the grains in the United States are produced in California and Arizona, and 35% of this produce is lost to spoilage before reaching the consumer. Vertical farms and indoor ag are a very compelling vision for the future. They offer smaller footprints and quicker growth cycles that result in over 400 times greater yield than a field farm. They save 90 to 95% plus on water, and the proximity to consumer can reduce spoilage, contamination, bacteria, and reduce the need for pesticides and costly transportation solutions. There's also the great potential to level socioeconomic inequities in urban areas through job creation and promoting access to healthy foods and food deserts. It is kind of a strange use to think of farms indoors in New York, but I think this is a city that people are excited to work in and attracts a lot of talent to work on these solutions. I think having vertical farms here can create technologies that scale and are applicable to other cities around the nation. So that's one area that I'm pretty excited.
Other comments? Sachi.
Thanks. I also want to commend the committee. I attended part of the land use meeting where y'all were talking through all of these, and the amount of detail that you were going into on each of them was super thoughtful. And I agree with a lot of what the committee put forth, including supporting number 2, simplifying the rules for business types. And then also opposing the dancing and live entertainment, number 9. That's another one that I think is really thoughtful and informed by comments and like public comment that we hear a lot. I don't share concerns, the committee's concerns about a couple of them. Number 5, enabling commercial activity on upper floors. I think this is the one that I feel most strongly about, since the department in their presentation said that for office to residential conversions, streamlining this particular rule could lead to more residential and commercial being able to share a building. And I don't share the committee's concerns about number 10, amusements, or number 11, home-based businesses. So I'm gonna vote no on this one, but I think I guess my comment is that I support a lot of what the committee put forward. There are just a couple that I disagree.
Other comments? Next.
All right, oops. Okay. No, it's yes. The next resolution is an exciting one, actually. So Not that the previous one was not exciting, don't get me wrong. So the next one is, an application by Dos Caminos Mexican Restaurant, and they are applying for a 3-year permit to operate an open air cafe, in a privately owned public plaza, a POS. The address is 245 Park Avenue. This is located on the corner of 46, between 46 and 47th Street. This is one of those standard, open air cafe applications that we received. The applicant came and gave us the whole hubba. They want to operate, tables and chairs so that it can complement the operation of the restaurant. And the way we look at and our interpretation of the zoning resolution is, the zoning resolution says that open air cafes, that their goal is to promote the public use of those pubs. And we take it to mean that public use means that the seating should be open to the public without need for consumption. We are fine with the private use of those chairs and tables by all means, and the commercial use for the profit of the restaurant is perfectly fine, but when possible, and if the seating is available, we believe that the public should have the ability to use these chairs and tables. And furthermore, with the tremendous work and advocacy that has been done by our own Julie Chu on the issue of bathrooms, we have started advocating and working on language that would actually require public bathrooms to be accessible and available on POPs. And we are working actually on crafting language that hopefully we can get the Department of City Planning to introduce as a citywide zoning tax amendment. But in the meantime, as we are working on this more systemic approach to providing bathroom access, anytime we have an application, we actually ask the applicant if they would consider providing access to a public bathroom to members of the public who are not patrons of the restaurant. So here how it goes for this one. The applicant representative comes, gives us a presentation, we tell them what our guidelines are, and he says at this point, I cannot commit to that, my client is not agreeable to these conditions. So we pass the usual, we deny unless those conditions are met. Nancy Gosha, who is assigned the due diligence on this, continues to do the follow-up with the attorney. Eventually, we get an agreement. It's not exactly what we wanted, but it is close enough. The committee, reviewed the language of what the attorney submitted. Basically, what they say is that it's okay so long as at the discretion of the restaurant, it does not, we basically reserve the right to, not let a member of the public sit at, certain times. And they really emphasize that they need to be able to use these chairs and tables to serve patrons of the restaurant, which we understand. But they are making a really, good faith commitment that the seating will be available to members of the public. So let's say that, someone wants to sit at 10 o'clock in the morning, the chairs and tables are already out. It's, the early summer month, it's not so hot. People will be able to sit. Someone needs a bathroom, they will be allowed to use the bathroom inside the restaurant. Once again, they are acting in good faith. It's not exactly what we wanted. Usually our conditions are more strict, and we ask signage to be also provided so people know that the seating is indeed available to members of the public without need for purchase. But we felt that it was a good enough sign of a commitment to the public use of the plaza from the applicant that we decided to present to you an approval.
Does anyone have a conflict of interest? Any questions to the resolution? Bradley?
Did they give any sort of indication of what those restrictions might be for people that they might turn away? Is it truly exclusively based on their own needs, or?
Yes,
So
it is basically anything that, and the language is in the resolution, and they basically say anything that would hinder our ability to, provide service to patrons would be the reason why, they would, basically if there is, someone who comes and says, I want this table, and there's a patron that, well, no, you can't have it. They do say that they are acting in good faith, and listen, they'll come back to us in 3 years. And, the land use committee is actually pretty good at doing, undercover little expeditions. If we see that, they're not living up to these stipulations, in 2 years, we'll have the opportunity to tell them that, we're not satisfied.
The question, so.
Yeah, may just be my eyesight. Is there anything in the resolution that says signage that would state these two things?
No, and that was one of the conditions of the applicant. The applicant was not willing to go as far as actually adding signage, which, it pains me. Maybe I'm stepping a little bit out of turn and just speaking as a member rather than, the chair of the committee presenting the reso. It chaggrins me, I would have liked that we go as far as having signage. At the same time, along with the committee unanimously, we felt that, it was an acceptable compromise. And, I think that this is one of those where we have to keep in mind that if we stick our heels in the ground and if we say, it is a denial, it will very, very likely be approved by the Department of City Planning, and then we would have nothing.
Next question, Zona.
I'm curious if there are other examples where we've made a similar concession or had these Western requirements. I live next to the Thompson's Hotel Pops, which is like super nice. I think it's like way too nice, but I've never had an issue there with them not letting me sit or anything. So just curious, like what led us to be more supportive in this case?
For this one, once again, it was really feeling that we were going to lose something. Whereas if we said yes, we would really gain something that was a significant public benefit. So I think it was really, weighing the cost benefit, and we felt that, it's not exactly what we wanted, but, I think it is major, and it's also a good way to publicize that, restaurants are now, opening their bathrooms, which hopefully will, create a different trend, and, encourage, other restaurants to follow suit.
Any other questions? Comments? David?
One reality about the restaurant situation in the public space is that it's, in our neighborhood, we have a problem with families of junkies that come and stay in the restaurant all day, all afternoon, all day, leave their clothes, their food, and everything there, and they make it very hard for a restaurant, we're talking about Shake Shack in particular, to conduct their business. So it's just a consideration, even the police are helpless to do anything about it. So it's a consideration we have to face today to try and help these restaurants maintain their businesses in a clean and healthy way for the neighborhood.
First of all, I applaud the committee for being pragmatic and reasonable in trying to deal with the business that also dealt with them in a reasonable way. Having been involved with the Open Restaurants Task Force, and in many cases advocated for the use of people benefiting from the sidewalks and the streets to allow the use of bathrooms, and where that wasn't required in any way, this toehold the POPs, by starting a process whereby we're beginning to require for the use of public space, the businesses to allow the use of their bathrooms, even if it's not perfect. It's incredibly important that we try to start something. To David's point, I don't say it's going to be easy, but really, if the businesses are going to use the public space, they've got to give something back. And this is a good first step, and I applaud the committee.
Next comment, Zoll.
Yeah, thank you, Todd. I'd like to applaud the committee. And David, I think your concern is correct. And we do need to take extra measures, Department of Homeless Services, Mental Health, and others, to help these folks who are on the streets and really need this help and don't have it yet. But, and thank you, Nancy, for the due diligence on this, because there's good compromise that's taking place here. You can't have public safety without public sanitation. And the failure of administration to give us proper public restrooms, the ideal one being in Bryant Park, giving people work and really keeping it clean and really doing a great job. It's a great failure of this city administration, one after the next. But to encourage restaurants at this point to open up their restrooms to non-paying customers is critical. And it's fair enough that they may need their seating for their customers. And I think we need to support this. Thank you.
Any other comments? Wait, is that it, or is there one more?
No. Last one, I promise. Okay, so final resolution. This is an application by the Department of Transportation with the Times Square Alliance for a major concession to allow DOT to contract with private entities to allow for revenue generating concessions on Broadway along the bow tie. So you can see actually the map on page 20. So currently, actually, it's a good place to start if you want. Currently on the, as you can see on page 20, in blue is the existing concession area. And the Department of Transportation, along with the Times Square Alliance, is proposing to expand, to dramatically expand the footprint of the concession area. Overall, the committee, I think the committee approached this initially with great concern. You know, the Times Square, as you know, is an extremely busy area. A lot is going on. And some of these uses are actually, you know, potentially conflicting with each other. There's a bike lane that with you know, bicycles that actually go at a fairly high speed. There are lots of pedestrians, a lot of activity, and we felt that, you know, adding concessions could become a problem. Overall, we were really reassured both by the Department of Transportation and by the Times Square Alliance, which is really a great steward of the area. The one thing that gave us comfort is that right now they're actually not planning to expand the number of concessions. They actually, you know, had a lot of concessions when they got the initial footprint approved, and they realized that it was actually not a good idea. It was actually creating too much conflict. And, you know, with this lesson in mind, they basically scaled it down. They have the opportunity to do it, and they do it for very small events that are revenue generating, and they need the revenue. But they are, with this type of treatment, they are able to do many other types of concession-like activities, such as signage on a bench. They wouldn't be able to collect revenue for that. They would be able to have a you know, very small you know, little cafe kiosk for a couple of months. All sorts of uses that they know is not going to you know, lead into a conflict with what is already happening in Times Square. I want to thank Charles Nye for the great comments that he had, bringing the issue of accessibility and how important curbs are to visually impaired individuals, because they rely on the curb to actually navigate into a plaza space. So that was really very, very important. And we were very pleased to hear that the Times Square Alliance was extremely receptive to the comment and was going to really work on all these accessibility issues. Overall, we felt very good, although really, you know, at the beginning, we you know, the committee was concerned, and we felt that we could support this proposal, and it's a unanimous vote, 11-0-0-0.
Does anyone have a conflict of interest? Any questions to the resolution? Any comments? Charles?
Because I just wanted to acknowledge, you know, Mr. Harris, President of the Times Square Alliance. You know, ever since I was a public speaker before I became a member of this board, he has been very receptive to helping me to go to activities and events and things in Times Square, and you know, arranges public safety officers to help me, who are always very positive and happy to help. And I'm just very grateful that from that one meeting back when I was public speaker, he just gave his contact information out, his cell phone number, everything, and he was just so willing to help. So I'm really grateful that he's also, I got a disability consultant involved just 8 to 6 months ago, he said in the committee meeting. And I'm really grateful that he invited me to be on a working group that would make the pedestrian plaza more accessible, because, you know, it does become a problem, and does become a bit of a desert for blind people to navigate with their canes. So I'm really pleased that that business improvement district in particular really is taking accessibility matters seriously. So, yeah, that's all I want to acknowledge.
Thank you, Todd.
I applaud the committee for reviewing this with an open mind and being flexible about the expansion of that area in Times Square. What we've seen, especially in what promised to be tough times in terms of budgeting by the city, allowing our bids to effectively manage and raise revenues and balancing the interests of the public and commercial groups to take care and keep Times Square vibrant is critically important. And I like the way they'll come back to the Times Square Alliance. From my view, I mean, I spend a good portion of my weekends over the last 20 years in that area. And what I've seen of the original area and how well it's worked, this is something that should be encouraged. And again, I think it's well in line with the tradition of our community board of being open-minded and working with business to make our city better. So I applaud this.
Other comments? Okay, we'll take the bundle to the vote.
Before we vote, I wanted to give a big shout out to members of the committee who worked on these resolutions, Mary Brosnahan, Nancy Belchow, and Dave Michaelis. Thank you.
Michaelis,
Yes.
Gordon,
No one won, I guess, I know it's good.
Brosnahan is yes, Delau,
No on the first one, but yes on the other.
Dawson? Yes. Ellington,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Gartland,
No on the first, yes on the other two.
Gashaw,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hirschberg,
Yes.
Hutton,
Yes.
Kaliparsky,
Yes.
Kinsella,
She left.
Lakisico,
Yes.
Mafia. Joe. Marks,
Yes.
Miller,
No on the first, yes on the other two.
Nazaro,
No on the first one, yes on the other two.
No T Victor,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Rivas,
No on the first, yes on the others.
Shapiro,
Yes.
Sherburne,
Yes.
Sigmund,
Yes.
Slutskin,
Yes.
Southworth,
Yes.
Sung,
No on the first one, yes on the second one.
Takahashi Real,
No on number one, yes on number two, the rest.
Shu,
No on first, yes on other two.
Young,
Yes.
Zolkowitz.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the last vote of the evening. Is there any new business? Is there anyone? Sasha?
I just wanted to, I guess there's been, in the public comment a couple of times, the same person that has talked about Open New York. I'm on the board of Open New York, which is a pro-housing advocacy nonprofit. More than happy to talk with anyone who has questions about Open New York or just wants to learn more. Just wanted to make myself available for like coffee or a call or a Zoom or any.
So,
Yeah, I don't know who the person is, who's been making this comment. I wonder if there's anyone else here besides Sachi, who's a member of Open New York, and if they choose to reveal that now.
okay, any other new business? Okay, now for the public session, members of the public who are not able to speak during the public hearing are welcome to address the board on any topic relevant to the CV5 community. We will allow 2 minutes per person. If anyone would like to speak during the public session, please use the raise hand button now. Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.